So earlier this year, I was on a flight from San Francisco to Orlando, 6-hour flight. And as I got settled into my seat, the flight attendant got on the line on the loudspeaker and said, "We're terribly sorry. There won't be any Wi-Fi on your flight today." And being the social media person that I am, I took to Twitter and sent a tweet. And the tweet said, "6-hour flight without Wi-Fi, I'll catch you on the flip side." And to be honest, I didn't think too much of it. Did a little bit of work, took a little bit of a nap, landed in Orlando. And by the way, I was actually at the back of the airplane. And when we land, the flight attendant gets on the speaker again and says, "Attention, passenger Katie Lance. Passenger Katie Lance, before you depart the aircraft today, please see a United representative." So, we always think the worst, right? I took out my phone, I'm checking my messages. And again, I'm at the back of the plane, so you know how it goes, taking all of your things out, we're, getting all of our things together, working our way up the, up the aircraft. And again, the flight attendant comes on the loudspeaker and says, "Passenger Katie Lance, please don't forget to see a United representative before you leave the aircraft today." So I work my way up the jetway, I see the flight attendant, and she says, "Oh, Mrs. Lance, great, we have a United representative that would like to speak to you." So she ushers me to the end of the jetway, and there's a nicely dressed gentleman, and in his hand is a gift bag. And he says to me, "Mrs. Lance, on behalf of United Airlines and our team here at Orlando, we'd love to thank you for your business and give you a token of our appreciation." I was pretty blown away. I don't, to this day, really remember what I said. I think I sort of stumbled through a few "thank you so much," took the nice gift bag, walked down the jetway to a few gates down, sat down, opened up the gift bag, and inside were a bunch of wonderful travel accessories from Brookstone and all kinds of fun goodies. But at the bottom of that bag was a note, a handwritten note. And the note basically said this. It said, "Dear Katie Lance, we're so sorry on your flight today from San Francisco to Orlando that you didn't have Wi-Fi on your flight. It's something we're working on at United, it's something we're working on with our team, and we really appreciate your business. And if there's anything that we can help do to make your stay in Orlando better, please don't hesitate to reach out to us." Signed, Natalie. And Natalie's the local marketing director for United in Orlando. Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty blown away. I quickly texted my assistant, texted my husband, went to my hotel room, did a Periscope, tweeted about it, put it on Facebook, told the whole world. And very quickly after that, I actually got a tweet from Natalie who said something to the effect of, "This is why I love what I do." And I start with that story today because this talk is all about traditional marketing and new marketing and how to bridge that gap. And I thought, what a great example of taking that traditional marketing and making it such a remarkable experience. So I'm going to share with you 10 quick action items today, things that have helped me in my business as I've consulted and worked with companies all throughout the real estate and mortgage space, and things that have really helped agents that I've worked with take that traditional marketing to the next level with their digital marketing. So the first thing is surprise and delight. Natalie surprised and delighted me at United for sure. And there's so much pleasure in being able to surprise and delight people. I think we don't talk enough about that when it comes to social media. As much as I love to talk about having a content schedule and a strategy and an editorial calendar, there's also a lot of value in surprising and delighting people. When's the last time you did that for your clients, for your agents? It's a huge opportunity. Be intentional. As I've been saying for years, stop the random acts of social media. If you're tweeting, tweet that. Stop the random acts of social media. But be really intentional. When I look at the agents and brokers that are getting 70, 80, 90% of their business from social media, one of the #1 things that they're doing is they're being really intentional. They're being really laser focused, and they're using systems that we've been talking about for years, like Facebook lists and Twitter lists, and getting really organized and intentional about who they are and the time that they spend in social media. The third thing is that relationships are built with small, tiny interactions over the course of time. This is a picture of my 2 boys, Owen and Luke. Owen is 8, Luke is 5. And for any of you who have kids or grandkids, it's so easy for kids to make friends, right? You just, go to a park or school and they turn around and they say, "Do you want to play?" they say, sure. And for us, as we mature, it's not that easy. So when I think about social media, and one of the best things to really think about when it comes to building relationships is to remember that every like, every comment, every share adds up. It's important to recognize and validate people, especially when they're talking about things that are important to them in social media. My next tip is to embrace change. So often I talk to agents and brokers who sort of have their walls up when it comes to social media, especially things like Snapchat and Facebook Live and Periscope. And we've all been there. As soon as we feel like we've got it, something changes. But I have to say, it's that old saying, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. So embrace change and have a good attitude when it comes to technology. Understand that real estate is a sacred experience. A sacred experience. This is a picture of my grandmother on her 96th birthday. We called her Nana. And 6 days after this picture, she passed away. And then 8 months later, my grandfather passed away. And so when my family went through the process of going through their 70+ years of things that they had accumulated in their home and going through that process of selling their home, we weren't just another transaction. We weren't just another lead. It's a very sacred experience. And I think when you look at the real estate industry, and we talk a lot about leads and transactions, and all of that, of course, is very important. But for most people, buying and selling a home is an extremely, intensely personal experience. And I hope we never forget that part when we talk about new marketing, traditional marketing, and how those work together. Being a good finder. I think one of the best things that you can do if you're not sure what to say on social or what to snap or what to tweet, look around. There's so many opportunities to elevate those around you. And when I look at the people who are doing the best when it comes to social media and digital marketing, not only do they have that strategy and the plan, but they really recognize those around us. And as I look in this room, there's so many great people to elevate and to recognize. The magic is in the one-to-one. So as much as I love to talk about having an overall content strategy and thinking about how does your Facebook strategy look and things like that, there's a lot of magic in the one-to-one. So the next time your brokerage or your franchise has a really big announcement and you're going to put a lot of money behind it with PR and you're going to blast it everywhere, before you do all that, think about the 2 or 3 people you could tell first. The 2 or 3 people you could bring into your office and say, you won't believe what's going to happen. And there's so much magic in that one-to-one. The future is live. We heard Gary Vaynerchuk talk about this yesterday when he was talking about new technology. But things like Snapchat, Facebook Live, Periscope, live streaming is nothing new by any means. But the fact that we're all, with the touch of a button in our hands with our mobile devices, can broadcast live and do live video is so amazing. And I think for a lot of agents and brokers, we've been talking about live video and the power of video for years and years. But when you can broadcast live and people can see and hear you and ask you questions and bridge that gap between some of the distrust that still exists in the industry, it's really incredible. Facebook's actually investing over $50 million in reaching out to celebrities and sports athletes, encouraging them to use Facebook Live. And it's one of the #1 things that you can do right now to increase your reach, increase those eyeballs, and really differentiate yourself on social media. Embrace nostalgia. One of my favorite parts of Facebook, I'm sure you've seen this, is that button that says "On this day." I love looking at that because I love looking back to seeing what happened a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Because a lot of times we remember the big moments. We remember the Christmases and the birthdays and the anniversaries and the weddings, but we forget the little moments. Like the moment your son says, "I love you, Mommy," for the first time. All those little moments. And when I think about nostalgia in real estate, there's so much nostalgia. Whether you've been in the business just a few years, or maybe you're someone who's a veteran and you've been in the business 20 or 30 years, what's your story? And being able to share that on social media, especially today with Facebook Live, Snapchat, all the opportunities that we have, such a big, big opportunity. Take the online offline. I think this is one of the most important things. Somebody was asking me the other day, what was my favorite form of traditional marketing? And I said, thank you cards. right? My mom taught me well. Thank you cards are so important because as much as I love texting and tweeting and everything, there's something very intentional about someone taking the time to grab a nice piece of stationery, get a pen, find your address, get a stamp, put it all together, and for 2 or 3 minutes, they're being focused on what they're writing. So taking the online offline, and I encourage you as you go about your business, where are there moments of opportunities where you see it's someone's birthday and you could be one of the 300 people that writes on their wall and says happy birthday, or you could be one of the 3 people that sends them a private message on Facebook or texts them or sends them a note 2 days before or calls them. And bridging that gap between that traditional and online, it's not one or the other, but how do those work together? I could talk so much more about this, and so I've got a link right here with everything I talked about today, plus so much more. There's a free download if you go to katielance.com/ICSF 2016. I want to finish with a quick story. Some of you who I'm friends with on Facebook have seen me talk a lot about Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web was one of my favorite books as a young girl. I probably read it 100 times. And this summer, I was looking for an opportunity to do something really special with my boys, especially at bedtime. And for those of you who have kids, you know, bedtime, as much as we'd love it to be relaxing, it's not always relaxing when you have kids. And I wanted to create a special memory for my boys. So the past 12 or 13 weeks, we've been reading Charlotte's Web. It's been a great experience. And at the end of the book, there's a quote that I thought was so appropriate to end my talk today. And the quote is, "You have been my friend," replied Charlotte, "and that in itself is a tremendous thing." And when I think about the opportunity when it comes to social media and digital technology, creating those friendships is so valuable. And as I stand here on the best stage in real estate, and I look out at this amazing audience, I'm looking out at an audience of friends. And as you go back to your offices, your brokerages, your airplane flights later today, never forget that this opportunity to make those connections, to make those friendships, that's the power of social media and traditional marketing. And I encourage all of you to have your best year ever. Thank you so much.